Hey there everybody, Mazrock here, and today I'm doing a Blood DK Beginner's Rotation Tips Guide, whatever have you not, talking about some of the basic mechanics and how you want to open, and certain priority buttons that you want to press for Blood DK. Now, before we get into it though, please do like, comment, subscribe. We are so close to the 6K goal for the end of the year. It's like a little over 2 weeks away, and we're so close to 6K. Thank you for all the love and support. Hit that smash button? No, hit that sub button for help me out. T-shirts for sale. I only do Dungeons Fully Erect. These things are insanely comfortable, by the way. Blood DK, I'm the healer now. And, of course, there's the Warrior shirt, I Don't Want to Calm Down, I Want to Rage, that you can get for T-shirt, long sleeve hoodie. Your choice, you can get that at the Teespring link down below. If there's any LVY profiles or weak auras or anything you see here, you can get them for free in my Discord down below. Or you can get, but you got to kind of search for them in that channel. It's pretty popular. But my patrons also get easy access to them in one easy document where I've compiled everything for all of the tanks, general weak auras, specific spec weak auras, all that fun stuff. And of course, I stream on Twitch. You want to come hang out? Come say hi. Come by on Twitch. All right. So for Blood DK, for opening, we have to talk about a very specific mechanic for Blood DK, which is Bone Shield stacks. This is something that you never want to let drop to 0 at all. And the magic number to hover around is around 5. So you do have several buttons that do, several abilities that do allow you to get Bone Shield stacks. One of those being Death's Caress. For 1 rune cost, you can attack 1 mob at ranged and get 2 stacks of Bone Shield on a 6-second cooldown. Marrow Red, 2 rune cost for 3 Bone Shield stacks. This has actually become pretty inefficient to press unless you have no other means to get Bone Shield stacks and you need them right now. Dancing Rune Weapon with the talent Insatiable Blade, which was Crimson Rune Weapon, gives you 5 Bone Shield stacks upon pressing it, and Slappy Hands. You gain 3 Bone Shield stacks instantly, and then again every 6 seconds. So you do have means to generate Bone Shield stacks passively as you're kind of going through and doing your rotation and using your cooldowns and things like that. Now, it is to note, while you're getting hit, you will consume Bone Shield stacks at an internal cooldown of 2 seconds. So while you're fighting mobs, they will drain, but you're never going to see them go from 10 to 6 instantly unless you press Tombstone. Tombstone will actually consume 5 Bone Shield charges, and for each charge consumed, you'll gain 6 runic power and absorb an equal amount of maximum health up to 8 seconds. So, 6% for 8 seconds. Now, this is very, very potent, especially because of the new Shattering Bone ability. So when Bone Shield is consumed, it shatters, dealing 1,100 shadow damage to nearby enemies, but this damage is tripled inside your Death and Decay. Death and Decay is your nice little circle here. Boop. This is your Death and Decay. You want to have this down, and with the 2 charges from Death's Echo, you absolutely want to be having this at full time, and as you see here, I have a tracker for when it will end. As it's ending, you want to put your other one down to have maximum uptime on that. Alright, so now that we've covered the very basics, let's start a pull. So I am in Valtraken. Boo, yay! I think this is the PvP room, if I'm not mistaken, but there's dummies here. So as you are going to enter a pull, Death's Caress is going to be the first button that you press, but you have 2 ranged abilities, technically, for starting a pull. You have Death's Caress, but you also have Dancing Rune Weapon, which has a 30-yard range. So you can instantly start your pull pretty safely at the start, which was always very dangerous for Blood, right? So you go in, throw in your Death's Decay, hit your Dancing Rune Weapon, Death and Decay, and then boom, Blood Boil, and then now you're going around. You have an easy time going around, and you want to maintain your stacks with Death and Decay as your with the Death's Caress, and as your Death and Decay is running out, you go around. You hit Tombstone, boom, consume 5 charges, big damage there. You see that? That's 5% of my that was 20% of my damage just from the 1 button, because this mob here, these cleaving training dummies, don't actually hit back. So to show you what I mean, we're going to go over to the normal tank dummy here. Boom, hit that Death's Caress, Dancing Rune Weapon, and go around and just have fun. right? It's really easy. You want to maintain your stacks of Dancing Rune Weapon, hovering over them. You can get a Death's Decay macro put in where it puts it at your feet. But the main thing here is as you're going around, your main rune spender is going to be Heart Strike for damage, which fully cleaves inside your Death and Decay. But you always want to make sure that you're sticking around that 5, because with the ossuary bonus from the talent, you're gonna get a better Death Strike, right? It's gonna cost less runic power to cost Death Strike, which is very, very important. So it's important not to cap over your. Sorry, I'm trying to do the rotation. So it's very, very important to not cap over. Like, the goal isn't to sit at 10 the entire time, right? The goal is to try and maintain that 5 to 6 stacks and moving around and planning around your tombstone usage. Because as you've seen on the cleaving dummies over here, Tombstone can do a lot of damage with Shattering Bone inside your Death and Decay, but every time that a Bone Shield's charge is popped, you will do that Shattering Bone damage. Tombstone is just a nuke for this. So very, very important to kind of plan around your Tombstones. And you do have 2 ways to do this. You have just a straight up use of Dancing Rune Weapon. You have Abomination's Limb, aka Slappy Hands. Now, I have my tooltips turned off for when I'm not in combat here, so they're not coming up. So, if you know that you have either one of these buttons up and you can plan around it, you put down your Death and Decay, you have enough Bone Shield stacks, you hit Tombstone, then you hit one of the other buttons and you instantly gain those Bone Shield charges, you are completely, you're not wasting anything. So a very important threat generator is actually Blood Boil for Blood Decay. While the Blood Plague that it does apply doesn't generate that much threat on its own, Blood Boil itself deals a good amount of damage, especially in AoE, where you want to be pressing this not as often as possible, but you want to weave this into your rotation to always it being used. You do not want to sit on your 2 charges of Blood Boil. A couple other little things for rotation tips. It really does help when you use Death's Advance. Death's Advance, okay, for some, I'm still in combat with that stupid dummy. Death's Advance literally will be able to kind of plant you in place on any movement fights where there's pushbacks. If you're thinking Croth in Algathar's Academy, where the winds come in and pushes everybody around, you hit Death and Decay and you're just unaffected and you can just sit there and do whatever you want. Now, lastly, we have to talk about Vamp Blood and Death Strike. So, Vamp Blood, I'm going to have to go over the tooltip here because I'm in combat for some reason. Things just want to keep me in combat. Sorry. So you embrace your undeath and you increase your maximum health by 30%, and you increase all healing and absorbs by 30% for 10 seconds. Okay, there we go. I'm not in combat anymore. Boom, I have that. Now, Death Strike is your main means of keeping yourself alive. Well, you do have defenses in your toolkit like any other tank. We're talking Lichborn here. Lichborn will give you a DR of 15% when talented into it. You have Icebound Fortitude, and you can go into Rune Tap as well, which reduces all damage by 20% for 4 seconds. So you do have means of your regular damage reduction type stuff, but Blood Decay is very reactive. You take the damage, you heal yourself back up with Death Strike. And the reason why you want to keep Blood Boil going as an ability is hemostasis right here. Each enemy hit by Blood Boil increases the damage and healing done of your next Death and Decay by 8%, stacking up to 5 times. In AoE, 1 Blood Boil gives you your 5 stacks instantly and done. So that way you can go into a rotation of Heart Strike for runic power to gain runic power, Blood Boil to get your hemostasis, and have a Death Strike. And rotating through those 3, not necessarily in that order, because like I said, tanking is very reactive, especially with Blood Decay. So you can plan your reactions like a good tank, because if you know there's a big hit coming up and you only have 50 runic power left, the last thing you want to do is Death Strike right before the hit occurs to not be able to heal yourself up when it does come up, because you don't want to sit at 30% health for several globals while you do build up runic power. Now, If you're playing the spec correctly, you should be pooling enough runic power that you're never more than 1 heart strike away from generating enough to being able to death strike yourself up back to full. In the dungeons that I've done so far, I have pretty easily hit in some pretty hefty packs, 60, 70, 80k healing, just in, the few that I've done already. And on beta, there were times where I peaked 90, 95 pretty easily. Now this comes with things like absorbs, anti-magic shell, blood shield, which is based on your mastery, AMZ, which in 5-man content tends to be more of a personal than a party ability. Trying to get people to stand in the big safety bubble is beyond difficult sometimes. So use it as a personal. If other people want to use it, great. But honestly, so many times people just avoid it, and I don't know why. They might think it's a weird mob mechanic or something that I don't know about. But yeah, but then of course you have all of that being amped up by Gloom Ward, and I honestly go into Permafrost as well for the Frost Shield. So you do have a lot of absorbs and a lot of capabilities for absorbs, especially with Umbilicus Eternus added on. Now this is something you may choose to use or not. The spec and class trees are fluid to what you want to play and how best you want to play it. So none of these are cookie cutter builds. I have been opting for different talents in different dungeons. But after Vamp Blood expires, you absorb damage equal to 5 times the damage of your Blood Plague during your Vamp Blood. You can get some very hefty absorbs here, especially when you pair that with Dancing Rune Weapon. Dancing Rune Weapon will actually apply 3 charges of Blood Plague per target. So if we're going here, let's kind of get things going. Let's get our Dancing Rune Weapon. This is not a clean open, but as you see here, there are 3 charges of Blood Plague on these mobs as Dancing Rune Weapon is up. So this makes Umbilicus Eternus very, very strong for when Vamp Blood ends. This is not going to be useful for everyone. This is not going to be this is going to, add a little bit of extra sturdiness to your kit, especially as you're learning. I do see Umbilicus Eternus falling off, perhaps in some higher keys in certain dungeons where it just may not be needed, but that is kind of just what it is, right? Lastly, during your Dancing Rune Weapon, Death's Caress and Marrow Rend also triple the amount of Bone Shield stacks that you do get. So Death's Caress will give you 6, Marrow Rend will give you 9. So this is something towards the end of your Dancing Rune Weapon, which you should be tracking. You're going to want to pretty much aim for a Death's Caress every time to get the 6, because most of the time you shouldn't need the 9. But like I said, in an emergency, if you need it and you got the extra runes going for you, you can press Marrow Rend, get your quick 9, as it's more efficient to try and get a lot of stacks. So especially with Marrow Rend, where this is a button that we're not pressing a lot unless we absolutely need the Bone Shield stacks, if you have to press it for 9 in a pinch every once in a while, that's not a bad trade-off at all. And don't think that, if someone tells you you should just never ever press Marrow Rend, not necessarily true, but you should try and avoid it for Death's Caress wherever possible. Because tanks have priority buttons, not set rotations. I get asked, what's your rotation for this or that? It's tanking. There is no set rotation because anything can happen. Because the moment, especially with things like set rotations, the moment something goes wrong, and it usually does, let's say you have an enhanced shaman that is sustaining a 120k pull on AoE, and you are simply trying to get aggro back, you press what buttons you can to get that aggro back, and that might not always be the ones that are going to do the most AoE damage, or whatever have you not. So you have to plan things accordingly. And lastly, the one little thing that I want to add for Blood DK here, grip is also a taunt. So now we have 2 grips with this Death's Echo here, where you get 2 Death's Advances, 2 D&Ds, and 2 grips. Death's Grip is a taunt, so if something does pull threat from you and your taunt's on cooldown, you can just grip it, even if it's not tauntable, unless it's not tauntable, but non-grippable, like some things you just can't grip. Most of the time, it will give you enough threat off a taunt to be able to pull it in and do some damage to it and get your threat back. Alright, so those are my tips for Blood DK rotations. Like I said, it has gotten a little bit more complicated in Season 3, where all we did was spam Heartstrike. There are a lot of little things here. This is a video that I did want to actually make right after the Blood Decay Beginner's Guide. Just things came up. So I am sorry there. Things do happen, but thank you for watching the end of the video. Have yourselves a good one, and I am planning on doing one for Warrior and Paladin as well, but they just may take a little bit of time, so give me some time on that. But aside from that, I hope you guys are having a blast in Mythic Plus. Have yourselves a good one. Happy tanking. Bye.